Hello, amazing humans. I'm Flic and it's time to expand our minds. Now, today I'm going to be sharing the secret to unlocking your brain's hidden language. And I'm really excited about this one because it is like a beautiful combination of mindfulness, which is a nice little neuro twist on it. It's real juicy. You're going to love this one, I'm sure of it. Now, this is a fantastic thing to do for yourself because so many of us spend a huge amount of our time confused about what is going on in our bodies and minds. We waste so many resources in terms of our energy just trying to sit there and work out what is going on. You feel overwhelmed, you feel overstimulated, you've got so much processing going on mentally, emotionally, and physically. And at the end of the day, you just find yourself exhausted, burnt out, frustrated, and still with really no clue as to what your brain has been trying to tell you. It's not a nice way to live. Believe me, I know I've been there before. So I'm going to help you to sort of uncode effectively what is actually going on in your brain so that you can save those resources for the things that are way more important, like your family, your career, your business goals, the things that really mean something to you at that deep soul level. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, the brain itself is super cool. Our brains are incredible. The human brain does amazing things. And what's really interesting about it is that even though we may have the same kinds of lobes and general features of our brains, they are also completely and utterly unique from person to person. And there's so many things that go into that, like our genes, the way that we've been raised, how we eat, what we exercise, what we've been exposed to by society. So honestly, there's so many influences involved in how our brain operates and communicates with us. Now, what's also interesting about it is that our brain communicates with us on what we call the sensory perception matrix. Now, I know it sounds a little bit kind of high-tech and cool, so I'll say it again, but it's the sensory perception matrix. And what that actually means is that our brain can communicate with us maybe visually, it can do it through an auditory system, and it can also do it through sensations. And for each person, that's going to be different. So you may have one type of communication that comes through predominantly, or you may have several, with one being the leader and other ones kind of chiming in. What I've actually learnt from working with different kinds of clients and also working with my own brain, which is often dealing with pain and all sorts of different sensations that are going on, is that we generally want to be able to tune into at least one of the types of communication that is going on in our brains. Because when we do, our brain and our nervous system help to regulate everything else that is going on in our body. So rather than your brain going, oh my gosh, they're still not getting the point, they're not listening to me, I'm going to fire more things at them until they pay attention. If you're able to actually effectively tune into the one kind of communication you know that you predominantly use between your brain and yourself, you're going to save it kind of amping up and coming up with more things to fire at you. Therefore, you're going to feel less overwhelmed, less overstimulated, and certainly less fatigued. And this is just a win-win-win on all fronts. I'm sure that you agree. So let's sort of break those systems down a little bit more. So let's get further into our sensory perception matrix. Now, as I said, you can have auditory. So that may mean that your brain predominantly tries to communicate with you through sounds. These could be sounds of things that are going on around you in the sort of environment. It could be sounds that are involved in songs that stimulate a particular emotional or physical response in you. It could be the sounds of voices of those that you love or care about, or even sounds of people that have perhaps made you feel a little bit stressed out. So these are the ways that your brain is trying to bring forward information to you through an auditory sense. But it could also be visual. So for some people, their brain communicates with them in the sense of showing them still images or going through memories as though these are sort of like a video reel that are being played. It could come up with future predictions, so create some sort of cinematic effect that you're effectively perceiving in your brain while you're still doing things in real time. Additionally to that, it could be sensations. So that's going to be things like temperature, the feel of clothing against your skin. It could be feeling the breeze moving through your hair or through the room. It could be the sensation of something tight around you, sensation of pain or of cold. So there's lots of different ways that that can come across. And the key is to try and work out which of these ones is your predominant type of communication system. Again, remembering that some people have got one and some people have got a predominant one with several others that chime in when the brain doesn't feel that it's actually being listened to. So this is really, again, another fantastic opportunity to increase your self-awareness and to save your brain and body some really fundamentally important resources, helping you to understand what it is that your brain and body needs, but also it's going to help you to make decisions more effectively, and it's going to help you with any of that sort of cognitive overload that you may be experiencing, like brain fog, which is a very common issue for a lot of people for a lot of different kind of medical and mental health reasons as well. So this is a real benefit on all fronts. So let me take you through a little technique that is going to help you to identify which of these types of languages your brain is actually using to communicate with you. Now, before I get into that, I just wanted to mention one quick little thing. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, I've got an internal narrator. That is how my brain actually communicates with me. Now, for some people, that is absolutely true, but actually not everybody in the world does have an internal narration that helps them to process things in real time or to help them to process things that have happened in the past. Some people do not have any kind of narrator or voice in their head at all. But for those of you who do, just keep in mind that that would fall into the auditory version of the system that I'm talking about with that sensory perception matrix. So if you're already flagging that, that's totally fine, but remember that's going to fall under auditory. And if you're one of the people that doesn't have an internal narrator, don't worry, there's actually a lot of you in the world. You're not alone. Even though we talk about the voice in our head all the time, not everybody has one. You may be being communicated through the other systems like the visual or the sensation instead. Okay, so how do we actually uncode the specific language of your individual brain? So what you're going to need to do is take a moment, probably 60 to 90 seconds, and you want to be in a reasonably quiet environment. So you can actually do this obviously at home if you've got a quiet space, but this is actually a really handy one to do on the loo. Now, I know that sounds a little bit funny, but it's the most common time that we actually come to a stop during the day, particularly if we're in a workplace. So if you've got 60 to 90 seconds and you're sitting in the loo, this is a really great time to use that to work out what your brain is trying to talk to you about and in what way. So again, fit it into your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be extra. You just got to fit it in where you can. Now, what you're going to do is, as I said, get into that quiet space. You want to shut your eyes for a moment if you can. Take a couple of deep breaths just to help your body feel safe and calm to actually do this technique. And then all you're going to do is note what comes forward. So you're going to notice that there may be visual things, auditory things, or sensations that come forward. And I'm going to teach you how to label them or note them correctly so that you can then identify which one is the leader of your communication pack. In other words, which one is the secret language of your brain. So if they are sounds, any kind of auditory sounds, whether that is an internal narrator or sounds from a song or sounds of the environment that are all being poured forward to you, you're going to actually label that in your brain as hear. So you are hearing something. If it is a visual, so you've got still images, videos, predictive cinematic things that are being played out for you, or memories coming forward in a visual way, then that's going to be see. So you are seeing something. And if it's a sensation, whether that's something like cold or hot, pain, the sensation of clothing against your skin, breeze moving through your room that you're sitting in, whatever it is, that is going to be feel. So the notes that you're going to be taking in this technique are going to be either hear, see, or feel. And all you're going to do for that 60 to 90 seconds is actually just mentally in your mind note whatever one it is that pops forward. Again, it could be multiple. But as you're going through the process over that 60 to 90 seconds, you'll notice that one of them gears up and becomes really, really predominant. Or for some people, they only have one to start off with. Therefore, it's going to be very quick for you to identify which one is actually coming forward. So remembering as you're doing this, you're just noting see, hear, and feel. That's going to help you to identify which of the languages that are coming forward. Once you've been able to pinpoint that, the real superpower of being able to unlock that is that anytime you're in a situation where you need to make a decision, you're finding yourself a bit fatigued or a little bit overwhelmed, a bit overstimulated, you just don't know what it is that you're supposed to be doing or thinking about, you can actually sit into this technique and you can tell your own brain to repeat whatever it is that it normally uses. So for you, if that is hear, you are somebody that has auditory things coming through, you can sit in silence, close your eyes, take a couple of breaths, and just say hear, hear, hear. And as you repeat that, your brain is going to say back to you everything that it has been trying to tell you, because it recognizes that you are freeing up space and time for that communication to happen. It also means it is less likely to start bringing forward all of the other types. So not also the, sensations and the visuals. So you won't be as overwhelmed, and that communication can come forward very clearly. This means that rather than you spending maybe days or weeks festering and stewing over the potential decision that you have to make, or trying to decide what it is that you're going to do, you can actually do this in a matter of minutes. So it does definitely take practice, but really all you've got to remember is that your brain is always trying to communicate with you. So whether or not it is communicating through seeing something, hearing something, or feeling something, it is always talking to you. And it is a really fantastic guide that's going to help you get through all of your life, whether it's health, well-being, your career, a business, or parenting your children, anything really. This is super, super applicable to all of it. So I hope that has helped you to understand that there are differences in the types of language that exist in the human brain. There's different ways in which it'll try to communicate with you, and also that if you are not hearing it, it will amp up and try and throw more and more at you to get your attention. So often when you are feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed, it's because your brain is desperately trying to get you to listen, see, or feel what it is that you need to know based on its instinct and information for you. The quicker that you can get through that and channel the correct type of communication or your brain's language, the smoother so many things in your life are actually going to become. So give that a practice. Again, as I said, next time you're sitting on the loo for 60 seconds, or you've got free space at home, or even when you're just, getting the car started and waiting for the air conditioner to cool off, all of those of you who might be in Australia or somewhere where there's a bit of heat will understand that very well. Just give yourself time, fit it into your lifestyle, play around with it, and very, very soon you're going to find that you can actually communicate with, draw from, and understand what it is that your brain is trying to tell you. And my gosh, friends, it makes a lot of difference to your quality of life when you can actually just tune in directly to your brain's secret language. So I hope that you've got a lot out of that. I've certainly enjoyed sharing this technique with you. It's one that has worked for so many people that I have had the pleasure and privilege of working with, and I'm sure it's going to do the same for you. And I'd love to know what you think about it too. Don't be afraid to drop a comment below. Now, as always, remember that knowledge can only actually become your power when you apply it. So please get out there and give this a go. Really put it to the test, practice it. It does become easier as you do it more often. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like, subscribe, share this with your friends and colleagues. Until next time, I'm Flic Manning.